The morning sun spilled across my office desk, catching the edge of my coffee mug, the one that read, "Do no harm, but take no shit." A gift from myself after I made partner last year. From the 34th floor, the city below looked like a mosaic of ambition. Cold glass, sharp lines, constant motion. My silk blouse still smelled faintly of lavender detergent, and the faint hum of the espresso machine down the hall was oddly comforting. I was reviewing a contract when my phone buzzed. The caller ID froze me mid-breath. Mom. For 3 years, that name had been silent. 3 years since the bank calls, the investigators, the humiliation of discovering that the $515,000 loan I had taken out to buy a house was never mine. It was my sister's. Her signature forged, my credit destroyed, my life turned inside out. I had rebuilt from ashes. Quietly, patiently. And no one, not even my parents, knew how far I'd come. The phone kept buzzing. My reflection in the glass window looked calm, successful, but my chest tightened. I already knew what this call meant. They wouldn't be reaching out unless something was burning down again. Finally, I answered. "Hi, Mom." Her voice cracked through the line. "Sweetheart, it's about your sister. She's losing the house. Please don't hang up. We need your help." My fingers went still on the desk. I swallowed hard. A bitter laugh stuck somewhere between memory and disbelief. Of course. It always comes back to the house. 3 years ago, I was 28 and naive enough to believe that family could never betray you. Back then, I was still renting a small apartment in Austin, juggling 2 jobs, saving every spare dollar for my own dream home. The first call came on a Tuesday afternoon. A polite man from First National Bank wanted to confirm a few details about my recent mortgage application. I laughed at first. There had to be a mistake. But when he read out my social security number, my address, and my signature, the room tilted. I remember the metallic taste of panic. "That's not my loan," I said. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to sit down. By the end of that week, I found out exactly whose it was. My sister, Amber, had taken out a $515,000 loan in my name to buy her dream house. White porch, green shutters, the kind she'd always wanted since we were little. The betrayal cut deeper than any words. When I confronted her, she cried, ugly, desperate sobs. "I just needed a start, Hannah," she pleaded. "You're the responsible one. The bank wouldn't approve me. I swear I was going to fix it before you found out." Our parents stood beside her, silent, avoiding my eyes. When I looked at my dad, hoping for outrage or protection, all he said was, "Families don't air their dirty laundry, Hannah. We'll make this right. Just stay quiet." That was the night something inside me broke. I barely remember leaving their house. Just the sound of the rain and my mother's voice calling my name, soft but hollow. I drove until the city lights blurred, until my tears ran dry. The next morning, I packed my life into boxes. My best friend, Naomi, came to help. She pressed a small silver key into my palm, a keychain engraved with the words, "Start over." "For when you find the door that's finally yours," she whispered. That night, under the dim glow of a single lamp, I made a promise to myself. I would never again let anyone use my name to build their dreams while destroying mine. And so I left. No messages. No forwarding address. Just silence, and the sound of my own footsteps walking toward freedom. Starting over wasn't romantic. It was brutal. My credit was ruined, my savings nearly gone, and my trust in people shredded. But when everything falls apart, you get to decide who you'll become next. I took the first job that came my way, administrative assistant at a real estate firm in Dallas. The irony wasn't lost on me. The woman whose sister stole her name to buy a house, was now scheduling meetings for people buying their fifth. The first few months were survival. Instant coffee for breakfast. Bus rides to work. Falling asleep with my laptop open, watching tutorials on marketing, finance, and property law. But I learned. Fast. My boss, Evelyn Moore, was the kind of woman people whispered about. Sharp, intimidating, respected. One night, she caught me staying late, practicing spreadsheet formulas. Instead of scolding me, She pulled up a chair. "You remind me of me," she said. "Tell me your story." I didn't give her the whole truth, just enough to show I was rebuilding. Evelyn didn't press. She only smiled and said, "Then let's make sure no one ever writes your name on something you don't own again." From that night on, she became my mentor. She taught me negotiation, investment, confidence. She showed me how to turn setbacks into leverage. When I made my first sale, a modest duplex, I cried in my car, gripping the steering wheel with both hands. It wasn't the commission that moved me. It was proof. I could build something real, with my own name on the deed. Years passed, and the woman who once couldn't afford rent became a silent force in the industry. I launched a boutique agency, Harper & More Realty, named after Evelyn and myself. Every deal I made, every handshake, every late-night coffee meeting was a brick in the foundation of the life I'd built from Betrayal. I kept my success quiet. My social media showed just enough. Motivational quotes, sunsets, maybe a book on my desk. Nothing to hint at the car in my garage or the penthouse I owned outright. Sometimes I'd scroll through Amber's posts, her family smiling on the porch of that house, the one bought with my stolen name. I never commented, never liked a photo, just watched. When Evelyn retired, she handed me her chair, her office, her legacy. "You've earned everything they took from you," she said softly. That night, I sat by my window, holding the little silver key Naomi gave me. I realized I'd found the door it belonged to, the one I built myself. But success, I learned, never erases the past. It only gives you the strength to face it when it comes knocking again. And that morning, when Mom's call came through, I knew the knock had finally come. When I agreed to meet, I told Mom to bring Amber to my office at noon. I didn't say why. I just said, "You'll understand when you see me." The elevator doors opened right on time. I watched from behind my glass wall as my mother stepped in first, nervous, clutching her purse. Amber followed, her hair pulled into a messy bun, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. She looked smaller than I remembered. Guilt has a way of shrinking people. They both froze when they saw me. The office was bright, filled with soft light that glinted off polished marble floors and abstract art, my taste. A wall of floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Dallas skyline, the same skyline I once viewed from a cramped apartment. My name, Hannah Harper, was etched in brushed gold on the glass door. Managing partner, Harper & More Realty. Amber blinked twice. "You work here?" I leaned back in my chair, smiling slightly. "Not exactly. I own it." The silence was thick, almost painful. My mother's mouth parted, but no words came out. I gestured toward the chairs across from me. "Sit, please." They obeyed like schoolchildren caught in the principal's office. Mom was the first to speak. "Hannah, your sister's house." I raised a hand. "I know. I got the foreclosure notice forwarded to me this morning." Amber's head snapped up. How would you?" "Because," I said quietly, "the mortgage is still tied to my name. I made sure to monitor it. Someone had to clean up the mess you left." Her face paled. You fixed it?" "Years ago," I said, my tone steady. "I paid off the loan, rebuilt my credit, and cleared every trace of fraud so I could have a future again." "You're welcome." Amber's eyes welled with tears. "I'm sorry, Hannah. I didn't know how to face you." "That's the thing," I replied softly. "You didn't. You let me drown while you smiled for family photos in that house. And Mom and Dad," I turned to her, "you begged me to stay quiet, remember?" Mom's chin trembled. "We thought we were protecting the family. We were wrong." I stood and walked toward the window, looking out at the city that had become my sanctuary. I built everything you see here from nothing. No one handed me a second chance. No one cleaned up my mess. I did this on my own. When I turned back, both women were crying. I felt calm. Not vindictive, not triumphant. Just calm. Amber whispered, "I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," I said. "Just listen." I walked to my desk, picked up the little silver key that always sat beside my computer, and rolled it between my fingers. "This is what starting over looks like." It's not a house or a loan or a title. It's freedom. And freedom has a price. Amber nodded slowly. What do you want me to do? I met her eyes. I haven't decided yet. For the first time in years, she looked at me not as the sister she could manipulate, but as someone she couldn't afford to lose. I smiled, just a hint. But I'll tell you this much. Whatever happens next will be on my terms. Mom's sob broke the silence. You've become so strong, Hannah. I slipped the key back onto my desk.
No, Mom.
I just stopped being weak. Amber sat there twisting the strap of her purse, eyes darting between me and the window. My mother dabbed her tears with a tissue, her hands trembling. The air in my office was heavy, thick with years of guilt, silence, and the sound of truth finally catching up. I took a slow sip of my coffee, giving them time to feel the weight of it all before I spoke. You came here because you need help, I said. But before I decide anything, we're going to talk about what help actually means. Amber's voice cracked. Hannah, I'll do anything. Please. The kids will lose the house. I studied her face, the same sister who once signed my name as if it were her birthright. Anything? I asked quietly. She nodded, wiping her cheeks. Then listen carefully, I said, leaning forward. If I help, there are conditions. No lies. No cover-ups. No more pretending everything's fine when it's not. Amber swallowed hard. Okay. First, I continued, you sell the house. It was never truly yours, and keeping it only keeps the lie alive. You'll use the money to pay off your debts and start over somewhere smaller. Honest. Her face crumpled, but she nodded. Second, I said, turning to my mother, no more asking me to keep quiet. If we're going to be a family again, the truth stays on the table. You don't get to protect appearances while sacrificing me. Mom's lips trembled. You're right. We failed you. I failed you. Third, I said, my voice softening just a little. Therapy for all of us. Not because I need revenge, but because we've been broken for a long time. If we don't fix the root, we'll just keep planting the same poison. Mom nodded through her tears. Amber looked stunned. Therapy. Yes, I said. You think forgiveness just happens? It doesn't. You work for it. You rebuild trust brick by brick, just like I rebuilt my life. Amber looked down at her lap, her voice small. I don't deserve your help. I sighed. Maybe not. But you deserve a chance to become better. And I deserve peace. I stood and walked around the desk, stopping beside her chair. I'll wire the money to clear the foreclosure, but it's a loan, not a gift. You'll sign an agreement, and you'll pay me back in full within 5 years. No shortcuts, no excuses. Amber nodded slowly, tears falling freely now. I understand. Mom whispered, Hannah, thank you. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel small or silenced. I felt steady. Don't thank me, Mom. Just mean it when you say you'll change. I glanced at the silver key resting on my desk. It caught the light like a quiet reminder. This, I said softly, is me unlocking the past, not to go back, but to finally let it go. Amber's sob broke into a laugh, shaky but real. You always were the strong one. No, I replied, my tone calm and final. I just stopped being afraid of my own power. A month later, the papers were signed. Amber sold the house, just like I asked. Watching her hand over those keys was harder than I expected. It wasn't just a house she was losing. It was the illusion she'd built on my name. She moved into a small townhouse on the outskirts of town with her kids. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest. For the first time, she started showing up differently, working extra hours, budgeting, even taking therapy seriously. Sometimes she'd text me short updates, made my first full payment today, or took the kids to a park we could actually afford. It wasn't redemption, not yet, but it was a beginning. Mom, too, started changing in her quiet way. She joined the therapy sessions I arranged, even when Dad refused at first. She stopped talking about saving face and started talking about healing. Once, she came to my office and placed her hand over mine, whispering, I see you now, Hannah. I wish I had sooner. I didn't cry. I just smiled and said, "You see me because I stopped hiding." Naomi came by one evening bringing dinner and that same little silver key. She set it on my kitchen counter, its engraving catching the light. "Start over." "You finally did," she said. I ran my thumb over the worn metal. "Yeah," I whispered. "And this time, I didn't just start over. I built something that's mine." That night, I stepped out onto my balcony. The city lights shimmered below, endless and alive. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who drove away in the rain, her world collapsing, clutching this tiny key like a lifeline. She didn't know then that the world wasn't ending. It was just being rewritten. I took a deep breath, the air cool and clean, the skyline glowing like a promise. Families can break you, yes, but they can also teach you how to rebuild, with stronger hands, sharper eyes, and a heart that forgives without forgetting. I slipped the silver key back into my pocket, smiling as I whispered to the night. They once took my name to build their dream. Now my name builds empires, and this time, no one else signs for me.